You've hit Beltline Construction, brought to you by Calvin College Media Production. Here's your host, Grand Rapids personal trainer, Mighty Joe.
Welcome back to another episode of Beltline Construction. I am Mighty Joe Stankowski from GrandRapidsPersonalTrainer.com, and today we're going to talk about all those muscles that you do not see when you look in the mirror. We refer to them as posterior chain muscles in the fitness world, but for now it's just the ones you don't see. Special emphasis on the glutes. The muscles that are really important for if you're walking, running, trying to stand, or pretty much doing anything in life. Glutes are the key, and all these muscles behind you is what we're going to focus on today. So I'm going to call it right away. I want to get my friends Stephanie and Ben to come out here, our supermodels, and they're going to show us how to do a few of these exercises. First I want to do, though, is I want to kind of test and show you guys at home a simple test you can do to see how important it is to have your glutes fire, and if they're not firing, a couple things we can do. So if I have you both lie on the floor, face up, we're just going to do a simple bridge position. I'll try to get out of your ways. So feet are on the floor, toes are going to be pulled up, and I just want to lift your hips up as high off the floor as you can and hold this for about 8-10 seconds or so. And I want to see if you feel your glutes firing, if you just feel solid and stable, or if you actually feel like any kind of cramping or tightness in your hamstrings. Do you guys feel anything?
Yeah, I feel a little cramping.
Do?
Yeah.
Okay. So we both have a little bit of cramping here. And what this suggests, you guys could come out of that position right now and stand back up. It just kind of suggests that your glutes aren't doing the work that they should, so the hamstrings have to take over and not only do their own job, but the job of other muscles that should be working as well. So what we're going to do really right now is we're going to use a few different exercises that get the glutes firing. One of my favorites is, of course, a squat. And if Ben could demonstrate this one for us right now, just grab some weights here. Actually, let's change this to the right. That's too light for Ben. He has the strength of 10 men. So what we're going to do is just a very simple squat. And we covered the squat in the very first episode. We talked about the prom date guidelines, painless range of motion, demonstrating acceptable technique. So if you can hang on to those where they're comfortable. If you don't have weights at home, use whatever is heavy. Weight is weight as far as we're concerned right now. We're going to sit down, stand up, and we're going to point out a couple things here with the squat. And Ben's looking great. Here he's got his shoulders, his hips, his knees, and his feet all kind of go in the same direction or in a line. And one thing that's important when you squat, everybody has a different stance depending on how tall you are and just any kind of aches and pains you may have. And if you find that you point your toes out really far, kind of like a penguin of sorts, you'd have to do almost a pirouette sort of position. Here Ben's fairly straight, so his knees are just going a little bit out from center and looking good. So that's a squat, and it's the kind of move we want to do. Next I want to move on to a step up, so we could either hang on to those if they're not too heavy for you, or juggle them if you like. We'll have Stephanie demonstrate a step up. We have a bench here in the studio, of course. If you're at home and don't have access to something like this, you could use a chair or anything solid and fairly stable. Go to a park, you might be able to find a wall of some sort, concrete wall that you could step up on. Height is going to be dependent on what you can do. And right here, we see she has good technique. Her shoulders over her hip, over her knee, over her foot. And if we could see from the side, I don't know if we get a camera shot from the side here, we see that when she moves, her lower leg and her back are kind of following the same angles. So she's not stepping up tall and then leaning over one way or another. She's kind of following from the side. You can see she has really good lines right here. And when we do this exercise at home, we're going to do all exercises on one side and then flip over for the other side. Next, we're going to move on to Romanian deadlift, and Ben is ready. He's still got these weights. Strength of 10 men, looking good. We're going to take a slight bend in your knees, and it's a lot like what we'd call a stiff-legged deadlift, but we're going to just change the move a little bit. And hinging from the hips, want to kind of push your hips backwards and reach down towards your toes, stopping on that upper third of the shin, or mid-shin or so, and stand up tall. We really want to make sure your back stays tall. Even as you're lowering down, we don't want to do what I refer to as armadillo spine. We want to keep a nice tall spine or neutral spine, and just reaching down. Here again, weight is dependent on what you can control, what you can handle, and what you have access to, as well as, of course, your own goals and, I guess, weaknesses and abilities. Looking good right there. So that's the move we got too. If you still want to hang on to those, looking good, we have Stephanie demonstrate the split squat. Specifically, this is called a Bulgarian split squat. And by doing this with our foot elevated, it's going to give us some room for balance and supports. And she's going to lower down, and just like every other move we're doing with this, we have our shoulder over our hip, over our knee, over our foot. And on this one especially, we've got the emphasis really on the front leg. So Stephanie's going to be pushing through her heel as much as she can in that front leg. Her left leg is just for balance and support so she doesn't fall over. And she's getting really great depth on this one too. So definitely try this when you're at home. So you see we've got like maybe an inch or two underneath her back knee when it hits the floor, or almost hits the floor. Looking good. And if you have like maybe a phone book, if you live in a big city, you could get like a nice thick phone book and use that as just a reference point so you know when you're getting close enough. Front leg's doing a lot of the work. The non-working leg is getting probably a pretty big stretch in the front of your hip, you may feel. Yep, and there's a nice happy smile right there, so it's working. Looking good. And so this is again the move we've got here. Actually, I'll take the weights from Ben, I'll get those out of the way, and we'll have him demonstrate a reverse back extension. We're going to use a stability ball today. A lot of times in gyms you have different machines you could do back extensions and variations on. But again, we're assuming that you're training out of your own home and you don't have access to a lot of stuff. So the stability balls you get for $20, $30 at pretty much any exercise store and pharmacies and anywhere else. I mean, they're everywhere now. So Ben's got a nice solid position with his arms on the floor, his elbows are there. He's got a good curve in his back where it normally is, has a curve in his neck, and his lower body's relaxed. And what I want to do now is just kind of tense your glutes and hamstrings and lift your legs up a little bit. We're only going to go as high as he can maintain this curve in his lower back. And again, repetitions are dependent on what you can handle. If you feel pain, you know, prom date is our guide. Painless range of motion, demonstrating acceptable technique. Good. So these are our moves. So now if you're ready at home, get your equipment out, get your stability ball, grab your pets, whatever you need for weights. We're going to take you through a bit of a workout using this. Stephanie's going to be our leader right now. She's going to do the exercises first, starting with the squat. Once she's done with that, she'll move on to the step up, and then Ben's going to follow behind her doing those moves. So I'm going to really kind of focus on Stephanie's movements here today. Ben, if you could handle weight, by all means take some. Right. And as soon as she's done with her squats, she'll get about 12 to 15 or so for today. And fire away. Good. And see, we're even getting some extra movement here. Stephanie likes these extra moves because we know she's limited. We've seen this already. Her ankles don't allow her to go very far down, so she gets movement other places. So if you get some rotation, that's great. And by raising her arms up above, you know, higher than shoulder width, or higher than shoulder level, we're putting a lot more tension on her back, so she gets more stretch, more effort, really, is what we're looking for with any exercise. You ready, right? All right, a couple more reps. You're gonna have to grab those weights and go.
I'm ready to go.
All right. So maybe 3 or 4 more. Speed, again, is dependent on how well you can control the move. Depth is always dependent on that, as well as the number of repetitions. So let's take Stephanie to the step-ups. Ben can grab the weights. You still have the strength, of course. Here you go. So again, we're going to focus on Stephanie right now as far as the coaching points. She has as much of her foot on the bench as she possibly can right here, because that gives her a good base of support. We're working with a bench that has a little bit of squish. It's not, I don't want to say spongy, but it does have a bit of squish to it. Plus, when you have shoes, there's a bit of squish to shoes typically. So you want to start out with light weight or even no weight, and just kind of make sure that you're stable. Make sure that the surface you're going to stand on is solid. Definitely don't want to fall through any windows or anything like that, or off a high-rise building if you're training on a balcony. So safety first. This is where prom date comes in. Good. So we get a few more reps on this side and flip over, and if Ben can keep cranking up these squats. Looking solid. A lot of times you're going to hear guidelines as far as repetitions to how many should you do. People will say doing high reps for fat loss and do low reps for strength. It's not quite that easy. Really, for now, training at home, training in your dorm room, wherever you may be, just small space. Work with what you've got, and if you can do more, do more. If you can do too many and you're getting bored with the exercise, it might be a good time to actually use the idea of progression and get some more weight. Weighted vests are a low-cost, effective way to add weight to you. I guess put rolls of coins in your pocket if you really need to. And we switch legs already, right? So we're gonna move Stephanie down to the Romanian deadlifts. So we're gonna have to trade weights here. So we'll put those on the bench for the trade-off here. So Steph could take those. Remember the RDLs is the abbreviation for them, Romanian deadlifts. So you got Ben doing the step-ups. And just slight bend your knees and reach down for your toes, keeping that nice tall spine. And one thing I want to do here when you stand back up is I want to keep your neck kind of locked in place, so when you lean down, your head comes with you. So you're facing your chest, really kind of go the same direction when you're doing a lot of these exercises. So as you go down, you look more towards the floor. Excellent. That's what we're looking for right there. How's Ben doing? Legs hanging in there?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Good job. When you do the RDLs, you really want to push your hips back, put a big stretch on those muscles behind you, these posterior chain muscles we're talking about. And she's got a great range of motion on this, and it's looking good. And Ben's not even working hard yet. We've got to throw some weight on him pretty soon. What we're going to do now is we're going to switch to the split squat. So I guess how are we going to have to rotate this here through? You can put those weights down. And what I'm going to have to do with Ben here now is we're going to give him the ball for those reverse back extensions. So Stephanie's got the split squats here. We've got the ball as our fulcrum. So he's going to kind of line himself up with his waist on there, and again, lock his lower body in position. Looking good. Great. Stephanie's just flying through these. And since her squat isn't like her strong plank, just because of her ankles, she gets so much more mobility from this. She gets a fuller range of motion. So this is really an exercise I would work with on somebody if they didn't have the ability to do another exercise with the full range or have a lot of equipment. And body weight goes a long way when you're doing single leg work. If you think about when you walk or you run, most of the time you are on one leg. You don't drag your feet on the ground unless you're a caveman. So easy caveman could do it, I guess they say, right? Mm-hmm. I know we've only got a few seconds left, so we're going to wrap this one up. I want you to keep training at home right now. I'm Mighty Joe for Beltline Construction. Till next time, train like you mean it. Let's keep it going, guys. A few more reps.
Sounds good.
How's Ben hanging in there? All right. Good job. All right, you guys want to switch now? We'll go to the next one. So you guys basically trade places.